I totally did not just press start streaming and ended it really quickly, and now as I'm eagerly checking if it pinged anything. I didn't mean to go stream. I just want to say thank you to everybody who enjoys the series as much as I do. It's so fun filming these, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. As I always say, please share the video to anybody you think would find it interesting. I do a lot of research. It takes time, a lot of editing, but here we are. A game that has altered my brain chemistry completely back in middle school. The Walking Dead took over gaming when it first came out. From YouTubers to casual players, The Walking Dead was a super popular and, in my opinion, a game ahead of its time. From the characters to the universe, here is the world of The Walking Dead. Firstly, The Walking Dead Telltale debuted the series with the release of episode 1 of season 1 at the beginning in spring of 2012.
Can't be anyone else to play this game. Cry told me this is a lot better, and I have to play it.
The first episode of the adventure game debuted on April 24th of 2012. The game is based off one of the graphic novels written by Robert Kirkman, Tawny Moore, and Charlie Adlard. It was developed by Telltale Games. If you didn't know, was also one of the nominees of the Game of the Year back in 2012. And this was a time where I didn't watch the Game Awards, so I was very surprised.
Air trap! Damn! Looks like I'm gonna have to chop that leg off, son. You're crazy! No, I'm Sam Jackson.
Chuffed I'm saying this, and the BAFTA goes to The Walking Dead!
So rip Telltale Games. I remember when a lot of stuff happened, and we'll talk a little bit more about Telltale Games within the next episode, because there's probably going to be 2 episodes of this series, because there's a lot to cover within 2 seasons of the game, and that can basically equate to 30 minutes or 20 minutes of a YouTube video, so wish me luck on editing, but we'll get there. Anyway, unfortunately, they did not win Game of the Year, but they were nominated. But the game's critical success would lead it to being crowned as one of the best video game titles of all time. Now, before we get started, prior to filming, I know Speed, the streamer, finally did a marathon on The Walking Dead. I just feel like, I know there's a lot of other streamers who's done the same, a lot of big YouTubers who have done the same, but I feel like that just really shows how much of an impact this game has had, that it's been played by everyone, everyone's dog, everyone's cat. It's so influential that till this day people are still playing the game or even trying it out. And I just want to say, kind of lives up to being one of the best video game titles of, of all time, just saying. So anyway, I hope if anybody watched the Speed Marathon, let me know how that went, but I didn't unfortunately catch it. But I did see he was marathoning it, and I was very excited to see that. A good charm and a cute charm about The Walking Dead is that it's taken place in America, so a lot of the locations within the seasons are different states in America. For example, in season 1, a lot of it takes place in Georgia, Savannah, Macon. You go to Herschel Green's farm as well, like a lot of Bibb County areas within the different episodes. So that's only season 1 though. Season 2, you're in different parts of America. Season 3, season 4, and so on and so forth. I will try and cover within the next few seasons, but I know for the first season at least, you are in mainly Macon, Savannah, and a lot of other places. Also, if you see me have my arms down here and doing weird things, I'm squishing Stress Ball Steve, okay? He's my new addition. Now, as mentioned, there were not a lot of games like this. It was a very tailored game experience. Action, choices, and decisions all affected your gameplay and how the story plays out throughout the game, and basically the whole series. This was the start of decision-making games, and that are now very popular, such as Dispatch and a lot of other good games as well. So let's start off with the actual story. Let's dive in, shall we? And meet our characters. Starting off with Lee Everett. Now, he is one of the main protagonists in this game and series. He helps a lot with Clementine. He's 37-year-old. He used to be a history professor at the University of Georgia and was on his way to prison when all of this happened because he did murder the person that his ex-wife was cheating on. But throughout the game, he is a very loved character, helps even when he doesn't need to. and has to make really crazy decisions, unfortunately. And the next character is Clementine. Clementine is a little girl that Lee ends up coming across while on his journey to figure out what is happening in this world. And she's just along the way and is also a very loved character and has amazing character development as the seasons go on. Kenny and his family. Kenny and his family, Katja and Duck, are a family that you meet along the way. There are a lot of side characters in between, but Kenny and his family is a big part of this season. Kenny may be a hot-headed man, but he is very loyal to Lee, and even if he makes really bad decisions, he will try and still keep everyone safe as much as he can, even when he doesn't need to and really doesn't want to. Katja is a nurse and has some type of background in that. She's there for her son and for her husband and just trying to survive. And Duck is Duck.
Doing, Duck?
Good. I'm gonna drive the tractor. I'm the foreman. Lift with your back, Sean.
Another character to note is Lily and her father. As much as a lot of people didn't like Lily and her father, she is a big part of the season and onward seasons as well. Lily is very stubborn and can be rude from time to time, but she is there to protect her dad. Her dad is literally the same thing. Very angry, really hot-headed, does not care about anybody, and only about her daughter. Another character to note is Carly. Carly is a big part of the season, and I just want to say she has good aim and she's there and in it for everybody. Ben is another character to look out for. He joins in later on in the season, and he is a teenager from my high school that you meet in the season as well. And then you meet Omid and Krista, who are a couple that you meet while you are stuck with the train. They help you try and get across and also join you along the way. They are also in future seasons that help out Clem. So, episode 1 of season 1 is A New Day. Now, let's dive into the story, which is why I love this game so much. The story, the characters will always make me cry over and over again with how beautifully written this game is. History teacher Lee Everett is on his way to prison, having been convicted for killing a state senator who had slept with Lee's wife. While leaving Atlanta for prison, is driven by a police officer, and that cruiser, you hear a lot of radio sounds. They're getting information of a lot of things. There's stuff obviously happening. And as you're driving with this police officer who talks too much for my liking, he runs over a walker, as they're referred to in the series. And that's when the vehicle crashes off of the highway. After you wake up, you realize you're stuck in a car, you get yourself out, and you realize that the policeman is not who he seems to be and is a zombie. And that's when you defend yourself and fight off the policeman, who turned into a walker after the crash. Makes his way to another area with a bunch of houses. And this is where we hear about, for the first time, Clementine, a young girl who was hiding in her treehouse. Her family is nowhere to be found, but is hopeful her parents will come home soon.
Who is this?
I'm Clementine. This is my house.
Hi, Clementine. I'm Lee.
You even find her babysitter, who was also turned into a zombie once you team up with Clementine. You basically go into her house and it's all run down. Like, it's so beautiful how they show it, because you could really see that it was kind of just left how it was with whatever happened. Obviously, Clementine ran out of the house, went into the treehouse, and her babysitter was a zombie already, who you kill. Anyway, you end up meeting Clem, and the interactions you have with her are pretty sweet and obviously very, very cute. Anyway, you team up with her and you guys move along. You end up meeting Sean Green, who takes you and Lee to Sean's family farm, owned by his father, Herschel Green. Now, if you know Herschel Green, I'm pretty sure he's a part of the actual TV show. Let me check. Let me fact check myself. He's a part of the actual show, The Walking Dead. And so he makes a bit of a cameo. There's a few characters within this game that make cameos like Herschel Green that we will talk about and go over as well. So I hope you guys enjoy all of that, because that'll be really fun to dive into. Lee meets a family consisting of a husband, a wife, Kenny and Katja, and their son Duck. You end up crashing at this farm and are pressed immediately by Herschel Green.
Oh, not his daughter. He was her neighbor. Honey, do you know this man?
Yes.
Okay, then.
About why you have a child and where this child came from, and etc., etc. And if I'm gonna be honest, we're in an apocalypse, and I really, really doubt there's gonna be people out there doing other things other than trying to survive. Like, I don't think Lee is there to try and kidnap children while there's an apocalypse and while he's being hunted down by zombies actively. So, unnecessary press is what we're getting from Herschel Green. And then there's Duck, who's shouting, "Pull with your back, Sean," and he gets grabbed. Duck is very interesting. He made me laugh in the beginning of those episodes. He is an interesting little guy. Yeah. Autism may run in his blood. Anyway, Sean is grabbed through the fence after he is run over by Duck because Duck runs over his pant leg somehow, which I don't know if that's true, but Sean does get grabbed and is being attacked. And at this moment, it's up to you where you either save Duck or you save Sean. And in this instance, and I think a lot of other people have done the same, they ended up saving Duck because he's literally a child. And he's a kid. If you save Sean, all you do is ruin your relationship with Kenny, and Sean ends up dying anyway. In this instance, I saved Duck as well. After failing to save Sean from the walkers, Lee, Clementine, and Kenny's family are banished from the farm.
Get the fuck out of here!
Which I am totally fine with because I did not like Herschel Green. The group heads to Macon, Georgia, where they meet a group of survivors led by a woman named Lily, who saves them from a herd of walkers. Lily's group is situated in a drugstore, which is Lee's parents' drugstore, that you find out as you keep playing the game. In the group, we have Doug, Carly, Lily, Lily's ugly-ass dad, and Glenn, another reference to the Walking Dead show. Lily's father, Larry, suffers a heart attack after trying to say a kid was bitten when he wasn't. Basically, a whole argument starts up after you get in here. Literally, you're just saved and brought into a group, and then the other group members don't want you here. Specifically, Lily's dad. He's not the greatest person. He's always making accusations, he's very grumpy, and he just wants to kick out everybody and everything in sight. As long as it doesn't involve his daughter and him. Anyway, you're trying to get into the pharmacy when Glenn approaches you and decides to salvage for supplies at a motel, so he leaves. While you are around in the drugstore, you're just going around talking to people, investigating, figuring out stuff. You, as the gamer, figures out that this is Lee's family store. You get a radio signal from Glenn that he is stranded in the motel, which leads Lee and the news reporter Carly to go save Glenn. During this time, you are near a motel area with a big parking in front of it. Glenn decides to help a stranded survivor.
You have a boyfriend?
Named Irene. However, Irene is revealed to be bitten and ends up committing suicide upon taking Carly's gun. Even though you try to convince her to come back, but it's like, I really like the realism they show here. Like, not everybody's gonna join a group. Some people have their own ways of dealing with an apocalypse. So that happens. Upon returning to the drugstore, Lee comes to the conclusion that his parents were killed by walkers. Gets the keys off his brother, which is one of the sad parts. That whole scene of him basically saying that he couldn't say to his brother, like, pulls at my chest so much. You don't see your parents at all. You assume they're dead. And the one part of your family that you do end up seeing is your brother, who's outside with the keys that you need to get into the drugstore that everybody inside is asking you to get into. It's a lot. He gets the keys off, they get back and open the pharmacy, only for it to cause noise and all the walkers come to their hideout, which means it's time to get out. It gets so intense that both Carly and Doug get attacked by zombies. In this part of the game, I purely picked Carly because she had a gun and knew how to aim the gun. Rip Doug, but if you do save Doug, he continues to live on and stay in the group, but is also eventually killed off the same way Carly is. Which, Spoilers, by the way. When you got into this video, I hope you knew that there were spoilers, because there are spoilers. So, if you have not played The Walking Dead, I recommend you play it before you watch these videos, because I spoil a lot in these videos. The amount of people, the amount of YouTubers, the amount of anybody who I've seen watch that scene, oh, my empathy like shines through. I feel their anger as well, because it was crazy. It was a crazy scene, but we'll go over that later. You're making your way out after saving Carly. Larry punches you in the face and Kenny helps pick you up. Upon hearing Atlanta is overrun by walkers, Glenn leaves the group and heads for the city in order to save his friends who are left behind. And I feel like this is just a way for them to kind of connect it to the show, where Glenn, you know, goes and helps them because they are on a rooftop. So it's very interesting. I do think they find a way to connect Glenn back into the show. Like, he just made a cameo, but he's gonna go now. Now, if you want to know about his story, you should watch the TV show So that's what it feels like happened there, which is really, really cool. And I like that they do that with a few of the characters that show up within this game. Glenn ends up leaving, which leads to Glenn meeting Rick, obviously, in the show The Walking Dead, which is super cool. So we leave Lee, but Glenn ends up meeting a new dude named Rick, who is also just as badass as Lee, let me just say that. They decide to stay at the Motor Inn only for the electricity to shut off, and that ends the episode 1 of season 1. Now, if you think about it, a lot of stuff happened within this episode. The way they told the story really, really shows that this was definitely ahead of its time if it was nominated for awards and the rest of the seasons weren't even out. The rest of the episodes weren't even out. Like, when this game first came out, I know anybody who gets the game now, you have all the episodes, but when the first game came out, you would have to wait for episodes. What Dispatch does now. Like, you had to wait for those rest of those episodes if you just got Dispatch, right? But you had to wait for the next episode. You couldn't play right away like you can now, which I thought was a very smart way to do that and to get people to not only buy the next episode, but also like anticipate. Because of how beautifully paced this episode was, people wanted more and more from The Walking Dead, and we got more. Episode 2, Starved for Help. The group has survived 3 months at the hotel, but food is very scarce, and their explorations of nearby facilities had yielded pretty little. Though they did end up finding someone new named Mark, and they rescued him and included him into the group, which it seems like Larry didn't have an issue with. Maybe he's racist. Some people do claim that, though. I think a lot of people who played the game are like, maybe he's just racist, I don't know. You end up coming across high schoolers, Ben, Paul, and Travis, and their teacher. The teacher's leg ends up getting caught in a trap, which you basically cut off, and one of his fellow high schooler friends ends up dying. Anyway, Ben survives, and you take Ben back, including the teacher whose leg you cut off. You end up going back to the base with Ben and the teacher, and all hell breaks out loose with another argument. Oh my god, so fun! Yay! On having more people in here. It's crazy how annoying I can find Lily, but there are some times where she has a point, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm always Team Kenny. The teacher passes away, unfortunately, even though Katja's trying to make sure if he's okay.
To life and tried to kill my wife!
What? Wait, you all don't know?
What the hell are you talking about?
It's not the bite that does it. You come back no matter how you die. If you don't destroy the brain, that's just what happens. It's gonna happen to all of us.
Simply, the act of dying can cause you to turn, which I find it really interesting. A lot of what I've learned throughout the Walking Dead series, a lot of the rules I've learned through The Walking Dead. And I know the rules are different based off different zombie games, zombie shows, zombie movies, but like there are rules. And it's the same with other mythical creatures like vampires or werewolves. But when it comes to zombies, there's different rules. Usually some people think you can turn once you die, which is explained and is the rule within The Walking Dead. That you already have the virus in you. Everybody has a virus in you. You just have to simply die. Some people it's not like that. It started from somebody and that's how people turn into zombies, and I think that's how they thought of it in The Last of Us. I'm not too sure about that, but it also could have been like everybody was already infected. It depends on the universes, but in terms of The Walking Dead, you will die regardless and will regardless turn into a zombie. The only way to avoid that is to be killed by destroying your brain, which obviously everybody is in shock at that point and didn't really understand that that's a thing. Anyway, brothers Andrew St. John and Danny St. Anyway, they're just sussy, okay? They're not to trust. When I see them, I just think, ew, knowing what happens later on, I'm just like, ugh. John from a nearby dairy farm offer food and shelter in exchange for gasoline for their generators. The group accepts, though remain uneasy about it. They make their way to the farm while there, Mark is hit by a crossbow arrow from another group of bandits attacking the farm. And Brenda, the brother's mother, takes him into the house for medical treatment. At this point, you are split up into two groups. Carly and a few others don't come with you, but Lee, Mark, and I believe Kenny, Katja, and Clem are with you as well, but they're all separated. And anyway, they end up taking Mark into the house, the mom does, into the house for medical treatment, by the way. As you're on the farm, there are many hints to something just not feeling right. Lee goes with Danny to find the bandit group, but instead comes across a crazed woman named Jolene, who appears to know something about the farm but is killed before she reveals it. That lady has been through some shit. More and more you find out about her story. I'm not surprised that's why she wanted to kill everyone. You make your way back to the dairy farm for dinner, and John, Katja, Duck, and Clementine in the barn watching the cow that's about to give birth. Andy is sitting there menacingly, Kenny suspicious about the back door of the barn hearing noises, and Andy locking it up real fine. You distract Andy, make your way back to the barn to try and open the back. At the same time, dinner is ready. Everyone makes their way back to the home, while Lee tries to open the barn, only to find a lot of sharp tools. If you know what that means, dinner's ready, and it's fucking Mark. Not only do you get back to the house to get ready to eat, Brenda in a way rats out the whole plan they got going here by sending you to the bathroom. Well, little did she know Lee is smart enough to find a way and end up finding Mark with both his legs chopped off. You run back downstairs in a fuzzle. You warn the group that what you're about to eat is Mark's legs. And Mark ends up coming down the stairs, W Mark by the way, crawling, showing that you're about to eat him and to help him. You are then knocked out, only to be locked in a room with Lily, Larry, Clementine, and Kenny. And that's when, obviously, you have a lot of disagreement here again with Lily's father, because he's like, why would you trust these people? Whatever. When Larry has a heart attack, now it's time for you to choose a side. You have an option for you to kill Larry yourself, or you try and help save Larry, but Larry ends up dying anyway because Kenny drops a big-ass salt lick on his head. Ruthless Kenny, but that shows a side of Kenny that you'll see later on as well. You get out to find yourself in a slaughterhouse with one of the brothers sitting on watch. You hide and then fight the brother to try and survive. He is hit twice and falls into the trap. Hey mama, you got more food here? It's your son now, and that's some tradable meat. Here you decide to kill him or spare him. It doesn't make much of a difference, but Clementine does see your actions. If you kill him, Clem wouldn't like it, but if you spare him, she doesn't say much. You make your way to the house with Lily, Kenny, and Clem. You save Katja and Mark gets his revenge. You fight one of the brothers, saving Duck and Kenny. You can kill him or leave him. He most likely dies anyway once you leave him in what insinuated here. You are on your way back to the motor inn and find a car filled with food on your way back, which is what you've been needing this whole ass episode. This whole episode basically started on not being enough food. And where are we? We lose Mark, we're about to become cannibals, and we meet cannibals, and we kill them. You take the food or you leave it. Another relationship decider, it hinders some relationships if you take, and some if you don't. Not really any win-win, but if you know how to talk your way out of things, you are able to fix what's been done in some shape or form. Finally, you watch the video on the camcorder you stole from the lady Jolene, which shows she was R-worded and stalked the group for days, pretending to be a savior for Clementine. People even confuse her as the mother, but she is not Clementine's mother, which is obviously confirmed as we play throughout the game. But it is a very, very sad side story of Jolene. And that's the end of episode 2. Pretty crazy. I remember when I found out about these cannibals. I was like, this game deserves an Oscar. Like, the way they're playing out this story, and like, it's so accurate to what could happen in an apocalypse. It's so written out well. It takes so many turns that you don't even realize, but they're really good turns. They're not like overly stupid turns that makes you be like, was that even worth adding into the story? But it was. Anyway, moving on to episode 3, A Long Road Ahead. This one is crazy. I gotta change how I'm sitting for this episode. The beginning of the episode seems a little bit of a time skip. You're all thinking of getting out of Macon, which Kenny absolutely just loves to get out of there. You still find fights between Lily, Kenny about who should run what, which is a bit annoying because they both are kind of wacko in like different ways. Now you're trying to play detective with Duck to find who has been stealing the food at the motel.
Can I help?
What did I just say?
You're the Grace detective, and I can be Dick Grayson, your ward. That's Robin.
I know who it is.
You do realize there is somebody supplying to the raiders some food within the inside, so that means there's somebody within the group who's giving food to the outsiders. But before we continue about this little mystery, we have another love sprouting in the zombie apocalypse. Can you figure it out with me?
Been thinking a lot about you.
I think about you too.
Our group is small.
You're small.
You end up getting raided by a camp. They come and shoot, and it gets really, really intense within the moment. To the point where even you don't realize this because of how intense it gets at the motel while you're trying to defend yourself. Doug does end up getting bitten, but you don't realize that in the moment. What really happens is you all get into the RV, you're leaving, you end up pulling over because Kenny runs over a walker. During this time, Lily is already pressing people. Lily is already pressing Ben, already pressing Carly. Carly's trying to defend them both because there's no real proof. It just seems like Lily wants somebody out of the group and she wants it now. And she picks the two people, which it seems like she just doesn't like. Anyway, while you're pulled over and Kenny is dealing with the walker, you all walk outside. It gets so intense because Lily doesn't like Carly. Carly during this time does call out Lily on her bullshit.
You think you're some tough bitch, don't you? Like nothing can hurt you. But you're just a scared little girl. Get the fuck over it. Take a page from Lee's book and try helping somebody for once.
Anyway, as Carly calls her out, boom. Lily thinks it's an amazing idea to just shoot her. And not anywhere on the, not on the chest, not on the leg or like your side. She shoots her in the head. Just let that sink in, right? Let that sink in. You can either take Lily with you or you leave her behind. Majority of the people ended up leaving her behind. If you take Lily with you, she eventually ends up stealing the RV. So it is better to just leave her behind. Yeah, I think a lot of people were very upset about this, as I mentioned before.
Now, she's reaching for it! She's reaching for it! No! Oh, no!
What the fuck?
Earlier on in the video, you do end up losing Carly, and in this case it could have been Doug. Carly was our girl, okay? Lee could have had something with her, but also she was very reasonable. She had a shot. She knew how to survive. Why did we need to kill her? Because you were suspicious of her. That made no sense. You get back into the RV only to find out that Duck is bitten, and it's pretty sad. Kenny and Katja are struggling, and you end up finding a place to stop because there's not really much you can do with the RV. The RV's losing gas, and you end up finding a train, and that train is in the way. You get it started and end up meeting a man named Chuck, who's living on the train. He's pretty welcoming. Sadly, Duck gets worse as you set off again. It's sadly that time where you convince stubborn, in denial Kenny to stop that train in the moment. I personally convinced him. I knew he was just having issues coming to terms with it, but he's a broken dude. You end up stopping the train to deal with Duck. Katja ends up taking Duck back, but also not having the will to kill her own son. She ends up ending herself, which was unexpected. I remember crying at this point because it's so real. It's like this could happen to somebody. Like, it's so sad. Like, no one wants to kill their son, right? So I was just thinking what Kenny thought in that moment. No one should go through it. You end up killing Duck and move onwards, which was pretty rough. As you continue on, you teach Clem how to use a gun, cut her hair, and fucking Ben admits to stealing and making a deal with the bandits, which were the people who raided the motel in the first place, which got Carly killed. Yeah, it was not fun to hear that. You meet Omid and Krista. They're pretty neutral majority of the time. Omid is pretty positive. Krista kind of doesn't trust you, but I don't know what it is about these games, but y'all, I rather care about the zombies and keeping as much people as I can alive, not about if a man has a little girl and no parents around. Like, why does that matter right now? I'm trying to survive. This girl I'm trying to keep alive. Also, there's so many moments within this thing that solidifies that Lee is in the intention of just keeping Clementine alive and just helping her with her wishes until he can't anymore. So it's like, why are you still questioning? Like, when somebody questions him later on, it's just even more irritating because it's like, do you not use your eyes? Like, do you not see what he's doing for her? You find out the walkie-talkie works, and some weird dude that sounds very creepy / concerning, that he has her parents with him. And that's the end of this wild ass chapter. God, it was a crazy ride, wasn't it? That episode was insane. Episode 4, around every corner. At this point, we have a few new people. We have Chuck, we have Omid, we have Krista. We run to safety, and Ben doesn't really help Clem, and Chuck ends up going out of his way and saying, guys, go on, I will fight them off, while you guys end up finding a house and make your way into the house. In this time frame, Omid is hurt. Christma is upset about us not telling her about the radio. Sorry, this is really off script, but I don't know why I wrote Christma. Like, also write about Christmas. Her name is Krista. I don't know why in my script it says Christma. I don't know if she has to be Santa with a Santa hat on and a red nose, but really, I don't know why I wrote that. Anyway, you guys check around the whole house, find that the house is clear, you settle there. You then move out with Kenny to the city and find a boat, only to run into Molly, our bell ringer. She advises you about Crawford and the place that it is. They don't allow kids or anybody elderly. At first, she doesn't trust you. She tries to, kill you and Kenny. But then, Clementine, does not want to be away from you. She shows her face, and Molly then trusts you and believes that you're not from Crawford. Anyway, as you're making your way back, zombies end up showing up, and you guys are separated while Lee falls into the sewers, only to find Chuck. So Chuck does end up dying, but he was a noble guy, even though we didn't really know him for that long. You end up finding another shelter within the sewers with a bunch of other survivors. They were from Crawford, but they aren't with Crawford anymore because they have a lot of elderly and they're not allowed to stay in Crawford. You end up meeting and convincing one of the people in the groups named Vernon that you have people, that you're not from Crawford, that someone is hurt, and you take Vernon, the doctor, because he's a doctor, to go help Omid. You take Vernon back and he's seeing Omid. You look for Clementine, which you finally see that she finds a boat, which is what you've been looking for this whole time. Kenny at this point kind of gave up. His only goal was to find this boat and basically make it out. He didn't really have anything else to live for, so he's kind of just drunk majority of the episode. But once you find the boat, you can see the little motivation and the strive to live more. Kenny gets to these points from time to time. You see this a lot in other chapters too, and in other seasons. So, take note of that. But he does get very happy that you find the boat. You do need a battery and gas, however, and thankfully Vernon and another person from their survivor group, as I had mentioned before, were from Crawford. So they sneak their way back into Crawford, only to realize that Crawford is already overrun by zombies, and none of them knew. As you're there exploring, trying to get the gas and batteries, you do find 2 tapes in a camcorder. One of the tapes is of Molly. She has sexual intercourse with the doctor there to try and get meds for her sister. Eventually, he stops giving them, and Molly doesn't like that. Another tape is with Annie, where she doesn't want to kill her baby, but Crawford doesn't allow kids, so they're basically trying to force her to have a miscarriage, or not a miscarriage, like abort the child, and she doesn't want to. So I don't remember who kills the doctor, but one of them ends up killing the doctor, and that's obviously they didn't kill him in the brain, so he came back to life, and that's how a zombie outbreak started within Crawford, basically. Anyway, you find everything you need, but there is a really, really shitty time where Ben decides to let all the zombies in because he saw a nice, pretty weapon that he wanted to use, but he didn't realize or clock it in his brain that it was holding the door together so that the zombies didn't come in. So yeah, the zombies are now in, and you're trying to make your way out. And apparently at this time, Ben also thinks it's a great, great time to tell Kenny about it was his fault that he was trading to the bandits, and that's what basically got a bunch of people in our group killed.
Time for this now.
I'm sorry, Lee. I can't do this anymore. He's got a right to know. Know what? It's been me all along, putting all of us in danger. Katja and Duck, it was all me. It was all me.
Saying.
It was me who made the deal with the bandits at the motor inn, slipping them supplies.
You get through the door and head out to the bell tower. You have a choice to either let Ben die here or come with you. I think I end up letting Ben die. If you keep him alive, he does have potential to stay alive later on, but he's just deeply traumatized and still guilt-ridden as he was throughout the rest of the chapters. You go back to the house where Omid is still alive and Vernon wanting to take Clementine off our hands. Another adult trying to interfere with our relationship. At around this point, Molly automatically decides to separate from the group. I don't know what happens to them in future seasons. If you do, please comment it below. I would love to know. But she's still kick-ass and reminds me a lot of Jane that we will encounter in the future. Clem asks about her parents during this time, and it's pretty hard because you do have to let her know that, like, it's gonna be hard and, like, they could potentially be dead. So it's either she cries or you go and take her to find her parents. You end up falling asleep and waking up to no Clementine. Her hat is left behind, and you look throughout the house and you don't find her. You go outside and you see her walkie-talkie. You click it to see where she is, and while that's happening, you get bit. Lee Everett gets bit. You can let the others know that you're bit or you hide it from them. Some of the members join you right away, some of them don't. It really just depends on the relationships. I know Omid and Crystal will join you, but it really depends on if you have Ben alive. Ben could be there. Kenny might not join you sometimes, or Kenny might join you. And you make your way off to see if it was Vernon who took Clem because he wanted to take her off your hands, but you discover it wasn't him either. And you're in the meat locker, and that's the end of episode 4. And I think when you get bit during this time, I think a lot of us had the same reactions of, what Like, what just happened? What just happened? There's no way I have to accept the fate of Lee Everett. He is dying? Excuse me? Like, it's so much to process. Anyway, episode 5, No Time Left. We're in the meat locker where the last survivors were, aka Vernon's group. At this time, you realize he's also the person who stole the boat, probably, most likely. At this point, you're in really rough shape. You're like fainting, falling over because of the bite. You're waking up to basically seeing Krista trying to cut off your arm. You end up cutting it off, and I think it's better to just take it off because I'd rather he live longer so that he can make sure Clem is safe and like make ends meet before he can't, you know? So I do find it crazy that they did patch him up and he lost that much blood and he didn't die. Meanwhile, Vernon steals the whole last boat, as I said. More arguments happen if Ben is there with Kenny, but during this whole time, a bunch of zombies end up making their way to the house after you leave the meat locker. I don't even think it's a meat locker. It looks like a morgue. I don't know why I keep calling it a meat locker, but you end up going back to the house and there's a bunch of zombies. And at this point, you're finding your way through the house that you were protected in to the roof, and you guys are basically trapped there because there's nowhere to go. At this point, a lot of people are just sitting, trying to figure out what to do in terms of Lee's condition. And Kenny starts drinking again. It's a whole thing. You end up finding a way and breaking out of the attic into the neighbor's house, where you see the couple that lived there, Alta Ford, onto the bed. You end up onto the roof, making your way. There's a point where you are separated by Kenny. Continue on. At this point, it's open to interpretation what happens to Kenny, if he's dead, if he's alive, if he survives, like what happens, you don't really know. And you move on with Krista and Omid. You fight your way through the zombies. This moment was very badass of Lee, I gotta admit. He's really just fighting to see Clem, make sure she's okay. To basically say his goodbyes before he dies. You make it to the hotel to save Clementine and meet this really weird dude at the door with, "Do you remember the station wagon you stole from me?" And I was like, oh, fuck. I remember being like, oh, girl, that was like 2 episodes ago. Are you kidding me? See what I mean about an Oscar? This could literally be an amazing TV show. He talks about his background of hurting his wife and losing his son, especially how much he's hurt them, only for the man to finally look into the bag below him and start saying, "Right, sweetie?" Very creepily, as Clem ends up leaving the room, smacking the man in the head, and you break out into a fight. You kill him and advise Clem, you gotta have a serious talk. So, if you didn't insinuate what happened there, the man was talking to his wife's dead head, zombie head, in a bag. Yeah, this guy was pretty sick. You kill a zombie on the way out, and Clem realizes the blood or guts of the zombies will confuse them. Since Lee is dying and the zombies aren't attacking him, they cover each other in zombie guts and end up walking out. Into the street, Clem ends up seeing her mom and dad sadly as zombies, and Lee passes out. You wake up in a random place that Clem took you to. She lets him know she was scared and thought Lee died. Lee tries to convince Clem she has to get the door open so that she can be safe away from him. He doesn't tell her all that, but you can feel it in the moment, that emotional moment. And he's just slowly dying at this point. And literally can't do anything anymore, like he can't move, really.
Do that?
Because I was bitten, Clem.
Please, no. No. That's not true.
Yes, it is. I can't.
You have to.
Clem, I can't move. This is it for me here. You're strong, Clem. You can do anything.
And now, you? Please. Please don't be one of them.
But also, losing Lee in the first season was not something I expected. I actually thought he was a solid character that I would see onwards. But it is a zombie apocalypse, and it's the fact that they kill off Lee really shows that this is going to be a good game, you know? It is really sad, though. I would like to see him off, but we couldn't. we really thought Lee would be one of the main characters, and just seeing him die was not something anybody expected. Loud gunshot, it cuts to the credits and your choices, and then after the credits it shows Clem walking in a field alone with no Krista or Omid in sight, and then she spots people in the distance, and it happens to be Omid and Krista, and that's the end of episode 5 and season 1. And then we move on to season 2, episode 1, All That Remains. Now, if you're still watching at this point, I commend you. This might end up being a 4-part series, I'm not too sure. And that's the end of this episode of diving into and exploring the world of Telltale series The Walking Dead. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to continue the rest of these videos. The next episode will probably be about season 2. And depending, we'll probably merge in some things. But let me know what you think about the first season of The Walking Dead. I really want to know what you think of it. Do you think it was a very smart move from Telltale to release a game like this? I think it was. And if you have anything that I missed, please share it in the comments. I would like to know any facts that I missed, any information that I should know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.